Thank you. So and the last couple of things, just on him also, is I was adopted, and so I have different genes. And it turned out that my birth father was a musician, and his father was an actor, and that's where I become. But Danny and Heidi, naturally born later, were all in the sciences. So mom, lab technician, mother, by the way, here, Berg. She was active here in the Faculty Women's Association, and she was the secretary and the treasurer, and from 1986 to 1987, she was the president of the Faculty Women's Club right here. So we used to come in and see lots of lectures here. But saying that I was different is Earl, as much as he was so much into education, was the first one to say to me, well, you know, maybe college isn't right for you. So, and I've started and stopped since 1971. I went to San Fernando Valley College, which turned into Cal State Northridge, and the last time I was there was in 2004. So I kind of go and I leave, and I go and I leave, and usually to go off on tour again. His dad, as Danny said, was a musician. He was also a builder. His parents broke up when Dad was very young, and so Mom didn't really like musicians. I think they were the scum of the earth. So at any rate, my dad, when he was in college, he went and lived with his dad for a little while and learned the saxophone. And when his mom found out about it, she put an end to that. But at the age of 50, we had Christmas, and there was a present under the tree, and it said, from Santa to Earl. And what had happened is Earl went out secretly to Santa Monica, bought himself a classical guitar, and learned how to play it, and opened up this present under the Christmas tree, pulled it out, and played absolutely perfectly a beautiful classical piece on the guitar. And he kept it up for about 2 years, but it didn't have synapses, so it just wasn't going to do it for him. It had catgut, so that was something, but it was not really that close. The other thing is whenever we traveled to foreign countries, which we did a lot of, my mom went to Hong Kong and the Philippines. My dad went down to the Amazon to work with one of the other doctors from Northwestern. Danny and I got to go to Japan, got to go to Europe and Russia. But every time we went to a different country, he would learn the language first, at least the basics. And nowadays you have telephones and all this. Well, what my dad had in his car were flashcards. So, and it was either, you know, the English, French, English, or it was a statement and then the facts behind it. It was rather interesting. No male on his side of the family lived past 65 years old. His dad had a heart attack 2 weeks after he turned 65. Most of the men died of diabetes. His grandfather's legs were amputated and all that. So Earl had this driving desire to stay healthy. So he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, and he did work out all the time. And he exercised his brain as much as he did his body. And so 98 years old when he passed away, which is rather remarkable. There's a company here called REI, Recreational Equipment Incorporated. Well, it was started in 1938, and my father, within the first year or so, became a member. And he is membership number 3,266. And today, there are 6.2 million members. So when Danny and I go down and go buy something in REI and we flash out that card, we don't get any discounts, but we get a lot of funny looks. It's kind of fun. As far as being frugal, why go out to a restaurant? Berg cooks. So later on in life, we did get to go out to some really nice restaurants. Usually they had golden arches. So that was about the extent of it. But through the time, I mean, a professor didn't make much money, and Mom worked as a lab technician for 20 years also. But we didn't spend money on anything, as Danny said, you know, until it wore out, or it was way past worn out. But the two things that were lovely to spend money on was education, and part of education was travel. So whenever he could, he would get his travel maybe taken care of when he was going to do a symposium or a lecture. And then so he would take that other money, put it towards a couple of us kids. So Heidi, Danny, and I all got to go. Birthdays were simply books and records only. That's all you're allowed to give. So, kind of neat. And other than that, is Berg. As Dad was in research and dedicated his life to UCLA, Mom did everything else, from the cooking to the cleaning to the doing all the taxes, driving us to all of our music lessons, and watching over us as we practiced, because we had to practice a half hour in the morning and a half hour at night, every night. So they were quite a team, and 73 years of marriage, and Mom's still here with us. And Dad, in his last years with Edwin here, who was his caregiver for over 7 years, every day they would go down to Balboa Park and they'd walk around the lake. And it was kind of fun. They got to know Earl really quite well, because until he had his stroke, he was, in fact, all the way through, he was walking. He could walk all the way through, and all these other people, caregivers would be, wheeling him through, and they'd be half his age. And any rate, so as a memorial to Father, there's a bench at Lake Balboa that says, "In memory of Earl Eldred, he would encourage you to take another lap around the lake." So, any rate, that's our bit from our family and all, and also really, really lovely to have you all here, and thank you so much. And I'll turn it over to Reggie. So thank you very much. Cheers.